Okay, we're up to the middle of the Avos Vav. So it was explained already the whole Avodah and the Seder of the Mamorim of the Frierdiker Rebbe. The first Maimer is Havayli Be'ezri. The first Maimer that he said on Yud Beis Tmuz. Then came two Maimorim, Boruch Hagomel, לחייבים טובות, and then came the Avodah of Suyadech Mekodesh of Vorchas Hashem. So how was he masbir the Seder HaMaimorim? Just briefly, the first Maimer is Havayli Be'oizri, and then according to there being the foundation of the whole Avodah, of all Avodah, has to be what? In a word, what did he say?
Bittul.
No, Bittul is already, Avodah comes later. This is Pashat first, is to have the right Hanocha, the right attitude, to know that Ein Milvadoi, the Eibush is the only reality. You say that you say this from the Chochmas, later Sheshem Motzirish, Mamtzik Kol Nimtza. So the foundation has to be that God not just runs the world, God's the only reality. It was explained why this has to be the foundation, because if he doesn't have this as a foundation, he has no confidence in his Avodah. He has no confidence in changing the world in anything. It has to start with, there was Chassidische Hanocha. Hanocha means the attitude has to be first here. This is Avodah, the way the Rebbe explains the sequence of 3/4 Maimorim. In the words of the Rebbe, number one, you have to know the truth. Then he gives more pratim, but that's the foundation. I can do it. The world at the end of the day cannot be a stira to the Eibishter. He's the only reality, and he's creating it every moment. So it's not the enemy that maybe I'll be successful, maybe I won't be successful. There's no two realities. There's one reality, Alikus, and if a person knows that, at least in Seichel, Chochma, Bina, and in Das, then the rest of the Avodah can happen. Otherwise, he's defeatist. Can I change myself? Can I change the world? It's been around for a long time. Same old, same old. That is the problem. Bemis, this is what's missing in all of us to a degree, and it's missing the whole massive in the world today, Net Yisrael, etc. I see this talking to people. So if we're going to say that Yisrael belongs to us, like the opening pasuk, Bereshis Bara Rashi, that's the answer? That's the answer. Teiras Emes, the Eibishter who made the world. The world will respect and respond to what we say? The answer is yes. God created them, and they're programmed in every fiber, every cell of their being to respond at the end of the day to God, the Jew, the Creator, and it cannot be any other way. That's the reality. If you don't have that confidence and that awareness, understanding of Ein Milvadoi at the end of the day, beginning of the day, in the middle of the day, if the Eibishter runs the world and he's the reality, then you'll accomplish nothing. Half-hearted attempts, not see it through, and you don't have the confidence. Aside from that, I'm living in a lie. If I'm granting the world real reality, that's a sheket avodah zarah. That's really the foundational problem with that. But it also means we'll not be matzliach, not with anything. If you don't believe in your children, first that as a parent and everything, you don't believe in them, their neshamas and so on, and the pnimius, like every Jew and every human being wants to do what the Eibishter wants, your whole chinuch is off. You're trying to make something of them and shape them and mold them. No, I'm not trying to do anything. The emes is there and they have it. That's a game changer completely because it changes the way they see you, see them. It's in everything. It's in every part of life. So that's the first Maimer. Then comes Baruch Hagomel, לחייבים טובות. Very hard hitting. What did he say? He's answering the question. When it comes to Nisim, we don't say that I'm chayev, I'm undeserving, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of what happened to me. We just thank God for the miracle. We don't say they were guilty of being in Tabi. But here, you say Baruch HaGomel for these four things. And he explained why. Because this is our choice to be a chayla or to be drowning in the sea. Or first a chayla to be in prison, to be drowning, or to be in the midbar. As explained, this is avodah, friends, the four levels of descent into granting Elam Hazeh reality stronger and stronger and stronger. You remember the four Taichin, Chayla Baruchnius and Beis Asurim Baruchnius. That's the second Yud. Sorry, the Chayla is the first, the Ches, the second, the Yud is Yotzim Beis Asurim, then the next Yud is Yer Dayom, and the Mem is Helchem Midbar. Helchem Drachim. Somebody wants to say, so what are the four inyonim, the four levels of descent? Number one, chayla, what does he say that means?
Timtum hamayach. The mayach, the timtum hamayach and the lev, where even
he's still
even his mind is not inspired. Even intellectually, there's no stimulation.
He's what?
Even higher pitch, higher note.
Even on a level of meichin, there's no stimulation or inspiration.
He's doing what he has to do, but he's not inspired. Yeah. Then after chayla is yotzim beis asurim.
Well, that was very general of the
Beis asurim
Yetzer Hara over the Yetzer Tov, yeah.
Yeah. So it could be, if we look at this again, it means that there's already a slip up. From that attitude, from rather being uninspired, and not inspired means he's missing the first maimer. Not inspired intellectually, even to know the emes of the Eibishter is the only reality. So this is a hemshech from the maimer before, is the Baruch Hagomel Chayovim Toivus Chayev. So Misgaber, he says, what's the next step after the chayla? First was the timtum alev. That's the first problem. And by the way, how does that happen? How does timtum alev hamayach happen? It's a vicious circle that happens through indulgence, even in permissible things. The koch in permissible things, 100% kosher, is certainly if it's not kosher, chalavakim, etc., for sure. I'm on this chat that's going now 24 hours. I don't know for how long. Several. Anyway, so one of them, it meanders from topic to topic as things develop. And so someone collected it. The times when the Rebbe spoke about Iskafia, and one of the occasions, one of the sichas, the Rebbe said, he davened Shabbos Ba'aveda. Then it comes to the meal, so he has to pick the choice thing. If it's not salted enough, he has to add salt. And then another sikh, he elaborated and says, and even if he doesn't add the salt, but his granddaughter or his grandson, gives him the choice part, or salted for him because he knows that's what he wants. The Lashonis, they were like something like Behemoth even. And then you have a tiny, it is the words are used. Was für ein Scheiches hast du mit dem Eibischter? What connection? You have sent the Eibischter, and you're in Shel Tachtis. And Oim removes God from you, and Shel Tachtis. And the busha, the busha that the grandchild knows that this is, the Zayda needs to give Zayda put the grain on the fish. And then he has a tiny, then he has a tiny, why, so this legt sich nicht up by him, he has a hard time, and he has a tiny that the people he's mashpia on don't listen to him, doesn't inspire them. Because he's, the choice, there's no compromise. There's no compromise. It's not a thing that Rebbe kocht sich in, because, out there Ashvi, Moishe B'Poyel, but he's addressing someone who's written to him when he was in Yechidus that, and not always davening goes, he's not always in mood. If you're asking such a question, and that's how you behave, so what do you expect? I got to see the Lashon. I mean, it's, you got to know these things at least. The way, where was it here? The Peninim, was for Beria Shveilich bin. That he has to think, what kind of low creature I am. Als der Tochter, der Enikol halt, als ich darf haben, darfke, das soll sein gesalzen. That my grandchild, my daughter or my grandchild, feels that I have to have Beria Shveila. It's not this unusual for the Rebbe to speak like this, but this was sichers, with Yechidus. Verbringen, this is verbringen. So the base Hasurim is that the Yetzer Hara gets the upper hand sometimes, actually. It's misgaber. Rosha machtir is a tzaddik. And then comes Yerda Yom going, what's his Yom? He's drowning in what? Tidus a panos, and then he adds, and in Yon Elam. The truth is, it has to elevate him. Like Yuchel Chabes es ha'ava. It brings out, but till it does, that's why it's there. He's drowning. And Haylech Midbar, he's in a desert, even lower. Here's the first time you use the word Rahman Litzlan. The Gashmi is ha'olam v'chumri yusar. There's nothing growing. There's destructive creatures. He's spiritually barren. His life is pashut. That's what he's devoted to. So how did he finish the ice? He finished the ice. The ability, the Yidach and Yidach, that the Eibush will find a way to stir him, guided him. The Eibush stands to the right of the poor fellow who's struggling with those who judge his souls, explained in Tanya. The judges never shalikis, never shabahamis, and he does tshuva. Tzaddik mitzara dechlatz. The tzaddik is extracted from the tzara. And then he went and said, but the akdama to all of this, to the avoid of tshuva and so on, is avayli bezi, that Hashem's the reality. Now in Ois Vav, that's what we're up to. We're halfway through Ois Vav. Start again, Ois Vav. Because by the way, the Rebbe would salt his food to such an extent that it was inedible. That layer of salt on everything. He knew this. Oh, you didn't know this? Yeah. People saw by the meals. There were Yom Tov meals held in the Rebbe's apartment till Tavshin Lamed when Rebbe's wife, Nechamadina, passed away. Then he stopped. But till then, the Sidorim, everything was, then the Yom Tov meals, all of them were upstairs there, and the Chassidim were invited. There were elder Chassidim that were there. And guests, sometimes Rabbonim, salt, a layer of salt, inedible. Number one. Then number two, the Rebbe never used a knife. Ate with one hand only, a fork or the spoon. Didn't use two hands to eat. This, I think he said, is from his father, Reb Leivik. But the salt, I don't know if you have explained why. I'll call Kabbalah Takev Melach. Every Korban that was salted, salt is of nitzchias, but it certainly made it inedible. If I'm not mistaken, the Rebbe's left hand was not even on the table. It was like just on the side. And he ate only with the right hand. My Zayda had seen that. It was a kid, Mike Zayda told me this. But my Zayda would encourage us to eat, and he would tell us, that's what he used to say, Kasha, Kugel, and Fleisches, the Tzemach Tzedek said, is Allah Lamesh Misin and Shabbos. Kasha, what's Kasha? Is buckwheat. Kugel, and Fleisch, is Allah Lamesh Misin and Tzemach Tzedek, but he didn't make it up. So eskes und hate. As I always say, the first thing in eating like a chassid in his kafir, the first thing is to compliment your wife and not to be fussy. Plus, I should already at the Lahayim and my elevated way of eating. Thank you. If not compliment, at least thank you. But yeah. So is Vav again. V'hinei everything described above is shaykh to everyone. Like he brings to the end of the Maimed, that despite being immersed in Elam Hazard, Eivish arouses us and the Yid becomes extracted, he brings the Posek, Mashakosiv, Amich Kulam Tzadik. This applies to everyone. This Posek, Tzadik Mitzvah Nechlat, is every Jew. Because every Jew, all your people are Tzadikim. Mavayer, we're all Tzadikim. What does the Posek mean? Every Yid has a neshama, and that's a part of the Eivish. V'zehu, so I have a neshama, but it's deep in the recesses of my being, and I have no access to it. So he says, yes, v'zehu mashbi noisai, that every neshama is made to take an oath before it comes down. So the shaila is, the neshama before it comes down to the world has the best of intentions. What's the point of the oath? The shvua. Titzadik vel tirosha. Right? That's how Tanya begins. What's the point of the oath? Answer to B'chol Neshama Shamar Yeshba HaSeiveya. Every Neshama, the word Shavua from the word Seiveya, which means, and actually in English we have the same idea, to charge someone, right? To charge someone is to make them undertake an obligation, like an oath, but it's to charge them, implied by the word charge, is to give them the koyach, to empower them. So mashbiyan means that the neshama is satiated, is given the koyches to carry out the shvua, the oath. This gobel of the tzaddik val tirosha. That's the mashbiyan. That's the point of the oath. It's to get koiches. And Neshama gets inoculated spiritually. This is clearer, we sweeter, literally. Up here, Tanya. Tzemach Tzedek writes in his summaries and notes on Tanya, being mashbi noyse shashvu atzma, that I just said it, but the oath itself, who asevei avanasinas koyach lavoida, the oath itself gives the nasinas koyach. First Taich didn't really identify that, just said mashbi noyse means you have it. You have the sevei, you're full, you have the koyach. He's adding here that the shvu is what grants it. That's the nuance here. Look up the Gemara over there. I have to look it up. That an oath is taken to fulfill mitzvahs. Got to see the context what that means. But Vahaino, here he says in the Maimah, well, what do you need an oath? We're already actually sworn at Sinai. We're already obligated. So why at Shavua? Why would a person take an oath? Because he needs to have a new koyach. Where he's facing a situation where to approach it and do mitzvahs rationally is not enough. The objections are too strong. Tam v'das. As it's a rechlising in Shavua, then he has to go, needs the unit of Shavua, which gives him koyach beyond teva. Giving him koyach and a insistence to do the avodah, even when it's higher than rational and logic, he still is committed because he's drawing on a level that's higher than seichel. That's the shvuah. Shvuah comes from a very lofty place in the nefesh, and likewise in the likus. That Hashem said here. With Avram, the end of the Akedah, binish baiti, that Hashem swears. What's the binish baiting? Shizel, what the Abish is swearing? His word's not good enough. The answer is he's being megala and madrege of alikos that's higher than Shem Havai, higher than Shem Alikim. He's revealing the level of shvuah by him. You heard the question, you heard the answer. Why does God have to take an oath? Because this covenant with Eden. This is referring to Atzmos, be within me, without identifying a level, a name of God. No description is mentioned, because this oath, this covenant, the oath, comes from its expression of Atzmos Mamish. When as a result of the revelation of the essence of the Eibishter, then that can bring about the chibur, the drawing of the miraculous into the world, into nature, and the changes that need to happen. That the world becomes a dirle yisbarach, and godliness is revealed. This is hemshach to the previous maimah that the goyim say, Aye. How can you draw Elikos into Gashmias? That's what you're trying to do. It's futile. Hashemayim Shemayim Lashem. Ruchnius belongs in the world of Ruchnius, not in Gashmias. And the answer is Hamakbili Lashaves Bashemayim Va'aretz, that the Eibishter, for him, both Shemayim and the Aretz is a descent. And therefore there can be the fusion of Shemayim Va'aretz, of Ruchnius and Gashmias. Being that Atzmos is the equal source of both, and are all equally him. And Gvul and Bligvul in their own worlds both are Hashpala descent for the Eibishter. Yeah? Are we clear everything we just said? Let's go a little further. V'zeho and this is what he said also in this last maimah. We didn't continue the hemshech. So the first maimah is the hanocha, the second maimah is acknowledging culpability in avodas hatshuvah. Baruch Hagomel. And that Tova will come because Eibush is ma'ir you. That's the thank you. Baruch Hagomel לחייבים טובות, that you arouse me even though I'm chayla or beis asurim or drowning or in a midbar. It's all by choice. Baruch Hagomel לחייבים טובות. And now then comes the avodah of suyadechem kodesh. That's tahara. This is purification. He was very strong on what that meant. And that way they're lifting the middas to the Moishe, as explained in the previous Maimarim. Yavai Alekinu Imono Kashem Avzin. It's all a hemshech. So now the conclusion is, as a result of the avodah of Suyadechem Kodesh, Yivarechacha Havaya Mitzion. And how the Figdeb explain it? Shabrochi, the brocha is Havaya de Le'ela, that's number one. And the result is Tzion. What did he say Tzion is? It's right there, right here in the mind we're learning.
It's on the shower.
Nekudas hanashama, b'chinas hayichida. The end result is that the pnimius hanashama is revealed yichida. Sheb'chinas zui l'mayli mitam v'das. This is beyond all definition and rationale. Al dereching in Hashavua. That's the mashbi in Oisa. Memena nimshach hakoyach. Sheti avodah be'ofen, and now he's charged. His pnimis and neshama is on fire, is revealed. So he has the koyach that the avodah should be be'ofen sheshum davar la'yuchal lashpia v'lifel shinach chas v'shalom. Nothing can sway him or affect him or cause a change. How could it? Einid mulvadoi, and his pnimis and neshama is revealed. And he's extracted himself from the clutches of the Yetzer Hara. And so Yedechem Kodesh, he's already in the matzav of Tahara. And he insists this is shaykh to every Jew. So now we can trust him. In every matzav, nothing will distract or sway him. Adarabah, he'll cause the revolution there. Al derech ani avayla shenisi, like David says, I don't change. And a yid can be the same. In a word, totally dependable. Yeah, guys are joining. Okay, we'll stop here and continue Be'ezer Hashem on Monday. And then we'll start the new, the new Maimon.